Why do we fear death? The true causes of this fear. The fear of death has accompanied humanity since its earliest conscious steps. Even without knowing exactly what exists beyond physical life, the simple idea of leaving the body awakens anguish, insecurity, and resistance. However, this fear does not arise from death itself, but from the way we have been taught to interpret it. For centuries, death has been associated with punishment, relentless judgment, and the definitive loss of everything one loves. This symbolic construction has created in the collective unconscious the idea of absolute rupture or inevitable suffering after passing away. Modern science, however, is beginning to show that fear mainly arises from uncertainty and ignorance about the natural processes of consciousness. Deep psychology explains that human beings fear what they do not understand. The unknown activates defense mechanisms related to survival. When death is seen as annihilation or punishment, fear intensifies. However, when it is understood as transformation, this fear tends to naturally diminish. From a scientific perspective, we observe that nothing in nature operates through definitive ruptures. Classical physics demonstrates that energy does not disappear. Biology shows continuous cycles of birth, transformation, and renewal. Astronomy reveals that even stars go through phases, without this representing an absolute end, but rather a change of state. Spiritism expands this understanding by explaining that the fear of death is deeply linked to excessive attachment to matter and the difficulty of accepting the continuity of consciousness. We do not fear ceasing to exist, but we fear losing what we identify with: the body, social roles, possessions, and relationships. Furthermore, there is an important moral factor. Human consciousness has an intimate perception of responsibility. When we know, even if unconsciously, that our choices have consequences, fear arises not from death, but from the encounter with oneself. This encounter, after physical life, reflects exactly the inner state we have cultivated. Understanding this brings relief and hope. Death ceases to be a leap into the dark and becomes an awakening. We are not judged by an arbitrary external force, but by our own consciousness, which invites us to learn, to repair, and to continue evolving. By transforming our view of death, we also transform our way of living. Fear gives way to serene responsibility, and life begins to be seen as a valuable stage of a much larger process. If this reflection has helped to broaden your understanding of life and death, like, share, and leave your comment. Your participation helps this message reach more people,